Hello, ladies and gentlemen, those otherwise inclined. My name is Longer82, and welcome to another edition of What About This? If you're new here, this is a series where I look to rewrite, restructure, or fantasy book what I think could come next in various arcs and events across shows, stories, games, etc. Last time we took a look at the Women's Royal Rumble. By all means, check that out if you haven't already. So this time we'll look at the men's. And boy, howdy was this a bastard to write. Between looking through the roster and the numerous declarations that either came that were expected, or certainly in one specific case, unexpected, there were quite a lot of names that didn't end up making the cut that you could definitely see being in there. Not to mention Drew winning the title off of Cody has opened the field up quite a bit too for potential winners. Before that, I'd have said 3, maybe 4 at a stretch were viable winners. Now there's probably about 6. Now I've made sure to include everyone that's been declared in the Rumble up to this point. I am filming this before Saturday night's main event for context, and avoided most people that are injured without much of a time frame, hence why no Javon in this, what with the recent injury that ended his match against El Grande Americano. If he is fit, fantastic, but I'm not playing around with it here. And speaking of Saturday night's main event, let's deal with some quick predictions there, as that will have an effect on the Rumble card. Less for this video, but considering in my Women's Rumble I talked about Rio still having the tag titles, there he'll be winning that tag match with Judgment Day. AJ vs Shinsuke, I'm fairly certain AJ will win, though there is a case for Shinsuke to win, to play into whether AJ does still have it or not going into Gunter. Cody Rhodes vs Jacob Fatu, well, neither's winning, that's what I think. It'll be either a double DQ, double count out, or the match won't even begin. Finally, the Fatal 4-Way. Well, it's between Morton and Sammy, and I'd say it'll go to Sammy. That should take Sammy out of the Rumble, which should then disperse the idea that Sammy will get the Rumble win this year purely because it's in Saudi, and maybe open up the field a bit more. And because we'll need to cover the Rumble card as well, one match in particular, here we go. The Women's Rumble I already did in the previous video, like I said, so by all means check that out. Drew versus Sammy, Drew will retain, but it sure as hell won't be clean. I'd say he gets caught trying to use the ropes in the pin, misses an attempt at using the title to cause a DQ, but when a turnbuckle pad gets torn off and the referee goes to fix it, he delivers a Future Shock DDT onto the title before nailing a Claymore and pinning him. As for AJ versus Gunter, this one's a toss-up. Initially I could see this going either way, but reportedly AJ's contract is up in early Feb. Here's what I think. Gunter should win with a few caveats. 1, he does not tap him out. He foregoes trying to tap him out because AJ just will not stay in the hold. 2, it has to be a dirty win, to such an extent that they can reasonably overturn the result to a no contest to get around the stipulation should they need to. And for that, let's go to a previously used finish that has a precedent to it. The ref goes down, knocked out in the ring. With him down, Gunter batters AJ completely, drags him over to the unconscious ref, pins him, and uses the limp hand of the referee to count the pin himself. An old Stone Cold finish. Gunter wins the match, but it is so dubious that you could do what you need to do with it. As for the Men's Rumble, well, let's see what we can do. Entering at number 1 is Cody Rhodes. Yep, completing the trifecta. His last 2 entrances have been at number 30 and number 15, so let's round things out at number 1. While he showers in the adulation of the crowd, the whoa gets cut off as number 2 is Jacob Fatu. Oh yes. Fatu struts to the ring as Cody shrugs off his coat, and the two waste no time in battering the ever-loving piss out of each other, continuing their animosity. And, full disclosure, this is going to be the basis of these guys' entire Rumble. They will go hell for leather after each other. If one gets caught up attacking someone else, the other will either cut them off or immediately jump on them as soon as they're done. Entrant number 3 is Ilya Dragunov, the Mad Dragon, one of the few people on the roster that could believably survive this chaos altogether. He gets in and valiantly joins the fray. Cody gets an early Cody cutter onto Fatu, who springs up, seemingly unaffected, but that leaves him open to a torpedo Moscow, followed by the H-bomb from Dragunov. He then blasts Cody with the same for good measure. Penta arrives at number 4 to continue the mix of styles, though of course takes his time sauntering to the ring, as is his right. Once he gets to the ring, though, he springs into action, dizzying everyone with his agility and flight, and probably downing Ilya with the Mexican destroyer. Or maybe all three, who knows. Dragon Lee comes out at number 5 to continue the athletic agility, even joining Penta in some dual team offense. I wouldn't quite call it tag team offense, after all they aren't in a tag team, though they did team up together against the Vision recently. But they do work together. Fun fact, I did not have Dragon Lee in my original lineup, but then the lad declared himself, so here we are. Entrant number 6 is the surprise return of Chad Gable, running into the ring and suplexing everyone he can. Seriously, the man could toss solid lumps of meat before, and if you've seen how he looks now, he'll have no problem. If you haven't, go take a look. Anyway, the fella starts to throw everyone as far as he can, and while he'll definitely hit a smooth Chaos Theory to Fatu, he pays special attention to the two luchadors in the ring, Penta and Dragon Lee. Call back to his earlier shtick. Penta gets held by a released German suplex before he deadlifts up Dragon Lee, carries him in a gut wrench over to the ropes, before gut wrench suplexing him over the top ropes and releasing, Dragon Lee coming down onto the ring apron and rolling off, becoming the first elimination of the night. Shinsuke Nakamura enters at number 7 with a King of Strong style, striking his way through everyone he can, including a Kinshasa to Dragunov. He has a little stare down with Cody, a brief callback to their short feud a couple of years ago, but before anything can come of it, Fatu charges at Rhodes from the side, and the two lock up again, leaving Nakamura to nail the rest of the field with his signature offense. Entering at number 8 is the US champion Carmelo Hayes, who goes back into a series with Ilya, with their title change being recent history. He gets the slight advantage over the Mad Dragon before trading off with Penta and keeping up with the agility of the luchador. Number 9 is the recently returned Matt Cardona, who hits the ring with a full head of steam, laying out Ilya, Gable and Nakamura, before coming to Cody's aid against Fatu as the two team up against the Samoan Werewolf. This doesn't last too long though, as Fatu shoves Cody aside and drops Cardona with a super kick before the two opening entrants continue their brawl. Mello goes to take advantage of the down Cardona, who pops up, creates some space, and rushes in for the radio silence. However, mid-jump, Mello cuts him off with a dropkick before climbing the turnbuckle and nailing nothing but net. Before Hayes can truly capitalise on his move, he freezes up as Trick Williams swaggers down at number 10. The two former friends turn vicious enemies in NXT, brawl it out between them. Mello gets a slight lead and bounces off the ropes, but is caught by a trick shot from Williams. He then nails a second one on the loopy US champ, sending him limp against the ropes before he clotheslines him out to the floor, eliminated, before chewing him out afterwards. Look, I'm sorry, but I did need another early elimination, and this one at least has some history behind it. Anyway, Trick's beratement stops as he turns around into Ilya Dragunov, with the two former NXT champions getting it on. Trick's problems don't stop there though, as a certain someone's name must have been said. Number 11 is Joe Hendry, who joins in the fray with both him and Ilya focusing on Trick, Joe getting some modicum of payback over the TNA World Championship. Following that, he then starts to fight with Shinsuke, a bit of a tenuous link I admit, but they do both carry different elements of being a rock star around them, alongside being very charismatic, plus a different clash of styles. Finn Balor comes out at number 12 and has brought some late Christmas presents for everyone, specifically sling blades, overhead kicks, and drop kicks for everyone standing, except of course for Cody and Jacob. Balor's not getting involved in that mess. Penta tries to run in but gets stopped by a kick to the gut, followed by a drop kick into the turnbuckle. However, before the Prince can climb the turnbuckle for the coup de grace, he is grabbed from behind by Gable, who runs him into the corner before hitting another Chaos Theory on him, before turning to the crowd and posing for a thank you as the countdown starts again. Out at number 13 is El Grande Americano, and Gable's expression completely drops as the legendary luchador confidently strides to the ring, all while Gable's expression slowly morphs to fury. El Grande gets in and Gable is bellowing at him, shouting how he's not the real El Grande, just some pretender, how dare he impersonate such a legendary figure, Chad then rushes in, but Americano quickly turns the tide before grabbing Gable's legs and dumping him out over the top rope to the floor. Gable is eliminated and furious about it, repeatedly pounding the floor and shouting at El Grande and the referees, though he is eventually directed to the back, but not before pointing at Americano and warning him this isn't over. Following El Grande Americano's entrance is another luchador at number 14, Rey Mysterio. The living legend gets into the ring, zipping around and teaming up in tandem offense with Penta. At one point he trips up Balor with a drop toe hold and has him laying on the ring ropes before hitting the 619, followed by dropping the dime on the Irishman. When he gets to his feet he sees El Grande standing up to him, with Americano offering a hand. Rey gives a wry smile before a brief nod and actually accepts the mark of respect before the two luchadors lock up. Coming to spoil the party at number 15 is Gunther, limping down to the ring following his match with AJ after being stuck in a calf crusher for a long time, though all smiles following his victory. He gets into the ring and chops down everyone in sight, leathering them with strikes, chops, clotheslines, the whole shebang. Hendry ducks a clothesline and gets hold of his throat, going for a standing ovation, but Gunther counters and hurls him out of the ring. Next to square up to the career killer is Nakamura, snarling as he sneaks revenge on AJ's behalf. After taking out Gunther's legs with stinging kicks and dropping into a knee, Shinsuke runs back for a Kinshasa, but Gunther explodes out with a clothesline, beating Shinsuke to the punch. One more clothesline followed by a powerbomb, and he's tossing Nakamura out too. He then turns around into El Grande, who gestures between the two of them and holds out a hand. Gunther smirks before slapping the ever-loving shit out of Americano. He chops him again and again and again, slapping the luchador around. He has no time for these silly fun and games after all, before being yanked back by Mysterio. Gunther starts to laugh and throws his arms up, potentially spotting his next victim, but Penta jumps in to help out, as does a recovered Americano, as the three work together to finally bring down Gunther. Coming down at number 16 is El Grande Americano, but he's already in the ring. Yet at the top of the aisle is another Grande, flanked by the Creed brothers as he marches down to the ring. Julius and Brutus each take a side of the ring while this second Grande gets into the ring, sizing up the first Grande, with the two pointing at each other a la the Spider-Man meme, not the Superman meme. The two Americanos start to brawl, with the second whipping the first into the ropes to be attacked by the Creeds. But before they can do too much damage, Rayo and Bravo jump over the barricade and start to brawl with the Creeds. Meanwhile, in the ring, the first Grande chops the second into the ropes, runs the ropes and leaps at his doppelganger. He is caught and thrown over the top rope but hangs onto the body of the other Americano, both being dragged over by each other and eliminated. On the floor, the two continue to brawl amongst the brawling Americanos and Creeds, the massive bodies brawling to the back. The first member of the Vision arrives at number 17, Austin Theory. The former masked man gets to ruthlessly attacking who he can, paying particular attention to Penta and Rey, while also steering clear of Gunther, Cody and Jacob. At some point he manages to hit an ATL on Balor and an Ataxia to Rey, following both up with stomps. Rusev enters at number 18 and starts throwing bodies. Rey, Penta, Theory, Trick and probably Ilya. Like Theory, he steers clear of Jacob and Cody's continuous brawling, but he does square up to Gunther as the two begin a hoss-off. As the two leather one another, Cardona tries to intervene, attempting to leave her both out at the same time. They brush him off, but he does hit a couple of nice drop kicks to them. Rusev staggers down into the corner and Cardona boots him into the side of the head before lining up Gunther for the radio silence, but Gunther catches him and unceremoniously dumps him over the top ropes and out. Out at number 19 is the return of Brock Lesnar. Well, here comes the pain. Just about all of the fighting in the ring stops, except Cody and Fatu. Of course, those two keep brawling. The Beast gets into the ring and gives everyone in reach a tourism visa to Suplex City. He yells Penta, Rey, Balor, Trick. Ilya tries to stand up to him and gets a few good hits in, but gets planted with an F5 for his trouble. Cody gets a bit of space from Fatu and stares down the Beast, but Fatu blasts him from the side. The Samoan Werewolf then locks eyes with Lesnar, but Cody drags his attention back to him with a disaster kick. Brock just laughs and lets them continue their fight. Theory tries to team up with him in lieu of War Games, but Lesnar scoops him up for an F5 too, though he gets staggered by a Machka kick by Rusev, with Theory scampering out from under the bottom ropes. Rusev continues the pressure, pushing Lesnar back against the ropes before rushing in, but Lesnar sidesteps and lays in a thick clothesline, muscling the Bulgarian Brute out and eliminating him, before finally he turns to come face to face once more with Gunther. The two get into it, the big meaty men slapping meat as they grapple up against the ropes, each trying to manhandle the other out of the ring, but being stuck in a stalemate. That stalemate gets resolved in a way that neither man expects, as number 20 takes care of it, that being Oba Femi. Femi starts his usual strut, but seeing the precarious position both Brock and Gunther are in, ends up running to the ring, sliding in and immediately bulldozing both over the top rope, eliminating both men to what would surely be a huge pop. Oba poses celebrating before turning and continuing the rampage in the ring, flattening everyone he can. Trick glares at the man he could not get the better of in NXT and charges forwards in vengeance, but Oba catches him, plants him with a fall from grace and tosses him out as well, before getting into a brawl with Dragunov. The crowd will inevitably erupt as main event Jey Uso comes out at number 20, entering through the yeeting crowd and chilling up most of the time between entrants with that alone. When he finally does get into the ring, he drops Penta and Rey with super kicks before he begins to gesture to run it back. Rey Theory jumps him from behind to, thankfully, swallow the body, laying into him, but as soon as he runs back for a stomp, Jey pops up and brings him down with a spear. Jey's advantage over Theory doesn't last long though, as Bronson Reed comes out at number 22. He immediately flattens Jey, helping Theory up before the two team up to start to gain control of the field. It doesn't go quite so well for them when they target Cody and Jacob, so they instead leave them to it. Of course, once they come to Oba, he and Reed begin another Hoss Fest, leaving Theory to have to deal with the rest of the field himself. Entrant number 23 is Aleister Black, who wastes little time kicking the shit out of anyone who comes near him, with the occasional knee as well. Strikes to Penta, Rey, Ilya, Theory, and a black mass to Jey for good measure. Unfortunately for Black, his control doesn't last long as Damian Priest follows him at number 24. The two pick up where they left off with the ambulance match, Black briefly stunning him with his vicious strikes, but Priest manages to catch and overpower him. He ducks a black mass and lifts Black up, nailing him with the South from Heaven before eliminating him, getting the better of him one last time before the two should now separate for some time. With Black dealt with, Priest joins in the massive meet of Bronson and Oba. The division is nearly complete as Logan Paul swaggers out at number 25, joining Bronson and Theory as the three work together to completely gain control of the field. Penta and Rey try to step up to them, but Penta gets brushed aside while Rey eats a pulverizer and gets tossed out by Logan. After beating down Penta, they turn to Damian Priest, who valiantly tries to fight back, but gets overwhelmed by the numbers and Bronson's strength, with Reed being the one to eliminate him. They then finally manage to break up the eternal battle between Rhodes and Fatu, as they end up laying both of them out thanks to the added help of Logan's brass knuckles. Full of arrogance and bravado, he then takes a swing with them to Oba, who eats the hit but does not go down. Logan stares at him in shock, looks at the knuckles, before swinging again. Oba catches him this time, but then gets jumped by Theory and Bronson. The trio finally managing to overwhelm Femi, as Theory and Logan trade the knuckles back and forth while Bronson powers him down. Logan hits a buckshot lariat, Theory hits the stomp, and Reed ends with a tsunami, finally stopping Oba. The three members of the Vision stand tall in the ring when out at number 26 comes Roman Reigns. The three ready themselves as the tribal chief slowly makes his way to the ring. Finally getting in, they try to rush him, but he manages to throw away Logan and Theory. Reed, however, is a slightly different beast. Reed holds his own and is wearing Roman strikes, but Jey springs back to life and nails him with a super kick, before a dual spear from both Jey and Roman drops Bronson. Jey turns to go after Logan, Theory having been in longer is trying to recover his stamina, while Roman ends up turning into a rising Jacob Fatu. Roman tries to bring him in, but Fatu is having none of it, and the two get to brawling. Eventually Roman gets some space and lands a Superman punch, but Fatu springs back up unharmed. That is until he gets snagged from behind by Cody, who finally manages to hit Crossroads before tossing out the Samoan werewolf. Cody then turns around to face the man he finished his story with as they start to battle. Roman whips Cody to the corner, who deftly springs up the ropes for a Cody cutter, but at the same time he reaches the top ropes, Fatu jumps up the ring apron and drags Cody instead off the top rope to the floor, eliminating the American Nightmare, with the two continuing their mad brawl to the back. Randy Orton comes out at number 27, lucky no more, and so begins the inevitable but always welcome RKO Fest, giving one to Ilya, Penta, Jay and Balor. He goes to RKO Oba, but Oba just shoves him away like Mark Henry did in the Hall of Pain run. He goes to lift Orton up for the fall from grace, but the Viper breaks free in midair and manages to hit that RKO as he comes back down. Roman is the next one to stand up to Orton and knocks him down with some clotheslines, followed by a Superman punch. He goes to the corner to set up for the spear, but when he runs in, Randy snatches him into an RKO. Before he can capitalise, Bronson wipes him out and drags him into the corner for a tsunami, but as he leaps, Orton catches him with an RKO as well. Logan springs in for a buckshot lariat, which Orton spins into a power slam, before whipping both him and Theory onto the middle rope for a draping DDT. With DDT hit, Randy starts to writhe and coil, pounding the mat for yet another RKO, but is put on hold as Bron Breakker enters at number 28. The vision is complete. Bron sprints to the ring, sliding under the ropes and runs the ropes. Randy tries to turn it into a power slam, but Bron is too quick and hits his spear on Orton. Balor tries to take advantage, but Bron breaks free and demolishes him with a spear too, before throwing him out over the top rope. Penta steps up next and Hurricane Ranas him into the corner and sets up for a Mexican Destroyer. Bron catches him, actually throws him up into the air before catching him for the end of a power slam, before dumping him out too. With them eliminated, he then turns and starts to rally the rest of the Vision, barking out orders. Roman and Jay are the next ones to step up, with each squaring off with two members. The Bronze go for Roman, while Logan and Theory attack Jay. Jay doesn't last too long though, leaving them free to go 4-on-1 on Roman. They beat down Roman and start to pick up his carcass when making his return at number 29 is LA Knight. Yeah! The megastar runs down to the ring with a steel chair in hand, using the equalizer to batter the Vision where he can. Bronson and Logan all wear a hit. Theory kicks the chair down, but Knight pulls him in for a BFT onto the chair before eliminating him. He then sidesteps an attempted spear from Breakker, which sends him crashing into the ring post. Bronson regains control as he barrels through Knight, but a recovered Roman prevents him from continuing the assault. A headbutt from Reed dazes Roman, but he is then stopped by Knight cracking the recovered steel chair into his back. Roman then hits a Superman punch on Bronson before grabbing him and hurling him out as well, getting a modicum of revenge for his match in Australia. Reigns then shares a look with LA, but before anything can come of it, Jay jumps in between them and gets in Knight's face, knocking the chair out of his hands in the process. The two butt heads as they trash talk one another, but Roman gets in between them, mediating a temporary truce as he points towards the remaining two members of the Vision in Logan Paul and Bron Breakker. The countdown to the final entrant begins. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6... Out at number 30 is the returning Chris Jericho. The Ayatollah of Rock and Roller poses at the top of the ramp before sauntering down the aisle. Y2J starts to mix it up with everyone, focusing a bit more on talent that he hasn't been in the ring with yet, like Breakker, Logan, Knight, and Dragunov. At one point, Roman tries to catch him with a Superman punch, but he's the first recipient of his code breaker. He also tries to hit one on Oba, but Femi just catches him before powering him down. So, with all 30 entrants having entered, the remaining competitors are Ilya Dragunov, Oba Femi, Jey Uso, Logan Paul, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Bron Breakker, LA Knight, and Chris Jericho. Into the final stretch we go. Logan Paul goes for a buckshot lariat on Y2J, but he avoids it. He's seen that move too many times to be surprised by it. Jericho tries to lock in the walls, but Logan spins him out of it. He avoids a Superman punch from Roman and drops him with that titanium knuckle punch before setting up for the buckshot again. Knight shoves Roman out of the way, catches the lariat and hits a BFT on Logan before tossing him out. Roman gives Knight a reluctant tap on the shoulder, but Knight slaps it away, exchanging words with the tribal chief. He then turns and ducks a sneak attack super kick from Jay, which instead drops Reigns. Jay looks stunned, and Knight takes advantage by grabbing Jay from behind and back suplexing him over the top rope and off the apron, and the camera just lingers on Jay's face, with his hands on his temple. Knight then goes over to Orton and tries to hit a BFT on him, but the Viper counters it into an RKO. But as he gets up, Jericho grabs him from behind and throws him out, smirking and holding up a fist in celebration. Meanwhile, Oba has been tangling with Breakker. Breakker manages to get Oba against the ropes but is thrown aside, only for Femi to be clotheslined over the top ropes by a weary Dragunov. However, Oba clings onto the ropes, staying alive. The Mad Dragon dashes back across the ring and rebounds for one final hit, but is caught, with Oba manhandling Ilya over the top rope and hitting a fall from grace onto the ring apron, with Ilya rolling off eliminated while Femi gets back into the ring. But, as he does, Y2J catches him by surprise with a code breaker. He then goes for a lion salt on the prone ruler, but is caught in midair by Breakker for a running power slam, before being tossed out as well, leaving the final four of Bron Breakker, LA Knight, Oba Femi and Roman Reigns. Breakker cuts Oba down with a spear but gets attacked by Roman, and the two brawl away from Femi's prone body. Knight spots this and drags him to the corner before jumping up to the second turnbuckle. He does his LA Knight call and response, jumps up and goes for the elbow drop, but he is caught in mid-air by a super kick from Jey Uso, who angrily yells at Knight before draping him onto the ropes and delivering another super kick, sending him over and out. Roman grabs Jey from behind and questions him, telling him he didn't need his help, he can handle it on his own, all while Jey argues back at him, almost brushing off Reigns. Reigns just happens to glance back and gets out of the way of a spear from Bron, who instead nails Jey. Roman and Bron go for simultaneous spears, but like last year, Bron is still too quick and beats Roman to the punch, his spear landing flush. Unfortunately for him, while he's focused on Roman, he is grabbed from behind by Oba, who manhandles him over the ropes and out, leaving only Oba and Roman left. After a brief back and forth, Roman goes for a Superman punch, is caught by Oba, who lifts him up for a fall from grace, but Roman breaks free mid-air to land the Superman punch. Over to the corner, ooh-ah! Spear, levers up his body and throws him over the top rope and out. Oba is eliminated, and Roman Reigns is the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble. And while he's certainly got a history with both world champions, I think it makes more sense for him to challenge Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship at Mania, while Drew defends the WWE title in a triple threat against Cody, Rhodes, and Jacob Fatu. Now, stats-wise, Oba gets the most eliminations with 5. I did nearly give him both Cody and Jacob as well to get to 7, but I figured how I rate them out would make more sense with how I think things will go down at Saturday night's main event. That's then followed by Bron Breakker, LA Knight, and Gunther all getting 3 eliminations apiece. And Ilya Dragunov would be the Iron Man, entering at number 3 and lasting till the final stretch. But anyway, that's how I could see the Men's Rumble playing out. I look forward to Saturday night's main event and the following Raw and SmackDown blowing this up entirely. Well, what do you think? Feel free to let me know in the comments below, as well as liking and subscribing if you like. As always, I've been Throngalady2. If you want to find me elsewhere, there'll be links in the description below, or feel free to check out the rest of the channel. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long for another What About This video, where I'll be looking back at the Pokemon Masters 8 once more, with a change in tournament format with an added story throughout. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Bye guys.